What is it about black families that we persist in the bearing of certain secrets that consume us in the light of day and sometimes in the bosom of the night? What is that?
It's called survival. It's pure and simple survival. Look at where we come from. Look at how we were treated, those of us who have any recollection of our ancestors in terms of what we've been through. We learn to keep on keeping on. And so one of the things that happened, this stuff is not new.
Right.
We just seeing more of it because of social media and because the media is on top of it, but this is not new. Yeah. You know, there was always an Uncle so-and-so who was, you know, inappropriate with somebody. But we held the family together. So the secret was to keep the family together. It was for family preservation and survival.
When did we move past, when did we move past survival, though, and get to the place where we can tell the truth? Well, let me ask a better question.
Yeah.
How do we move past survival and get to the place where we can tell the truth?
Well, I think it's happening. I think with all of the things that are coming out now, people are feeling much more courageous to speak their truth.
I love that, yeah.
Because, you know, they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Yeah. So a lot of people are trying to figure out, what's wrong with me? Why do I keep getting in this vicious cycle? You know, that trauma cycle is awful. You know, it's hard to get off of it. So people are finally saying, you know, I keep going from job to job, relationship to relationship. I'm now taking antidepressants. I need to take an anti-anxiety medication. I'm cussing out everybody. I'm angry and hostile all the time. You know, I've got now jail time because I've run somebody off the road. I've got all this stuff going on. So now it's time for me.
It's not like me driving to the studio every
See, don't
day.
do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I cuss people out. Don't judge me.
Yes. But people are getting tired. And now because of more awareness, and people are talking about it, and with celebrities talking about it, now it's making it more palatable for people to say, hey, that's me too.
That's
me
too.
That's
rich. That's rich.
But I got to add one more.
Please do.
The black church. Okay. So what we've done with those secrets, you know, we've just carried that over into our churches. So people can just shout and speak in tongues and run and buck and do everything and just be torn up because they don't have permission to share those kinds of things in church.
That's rich.
Yeah.
That's rich. You want to?
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, in addition to what she said, because just me thinking about my life, like my mom dealt with the same thing, you know, and God bless her soul, she passed away 2-3 years ago. So I grew up in a home back in Jamaica where there were so many secrets within the family. No one wanted to talk about anything. I grew up hearing, you know, don't go to the street and tell your business. Nobody needs to know, you know. So even that in itself, you know, you take on a kind of shame because it's like, if I have a secret, then there's something I should be ashamed about. And so I grew up in that environment where I couldn't...
Can I add this? And if you tell somebody you're doing something wrong.
Exactly.
You're messing up the family.
Right.
Yeah. So, but everyone was in pain, you know. My grandmother was in pain, my mom was in pain. And so here I am, you know, daughter, and now I had to deal with my own pain, and which was interesting because as a child, I was determined not to deal with that pain. I hated, when I was in that environment, I hated the helplessness and the heaviness within the home. I was more of a talkative type as a child. My mom was more quiet.
I can't tell.
You can't tell? I talked about everything.
You seem so quiet and demure.
And so I wanted to talk about these things and no one wanted, you know, obviously wanted to. So it's interesting that I thought, well, leaving Jamaica and leaving that environment and coming to the U.S., you know, we had this thing in Jamaica where they go, well, if you go to, you know, America, the streets are paved with gold and you can buy anything you want for 99 cents.
Lies.
Lies.
All lies.
All lies. And so, you know, so here I am, like the American dream, and I'm here, and then I had to come face to face with my own trials and that test of, well, I didn't think this would happen to me in America, you know, and So here I am, and just fighting against that, you know, my own situation. So
now,
yeah.
I wanna put my foot on the gas.
Go ahead.
Because one of the values of this show, or the value of the show tonight, is to help people think through how trauma in one area of your life has put you in what you called earlier a cycle or a pattern, right?
Yeah.
And you get locked in that pattern. How did you manifest a pattern of trauma, if not abuse, if I may?
Yeah.
How did it manifest yourself? What was your pattern? What did you keep doing?
I kept dating the wrong guys. That was my pattern. I was looking for love in all the wrong faces rather than looking in love in my face, the person in the mirror, you know? And so, you know.
If I may,
Sure.
if I may, describe the kind of guy that you kept choosing.
Well, there men who would hit me, men who would just have no respect, would demean me with their words, men that I couldn't trust. Just, you know, abusive men, you know, and I make it a priority not to, because there are great men out in the world, you know, but yeah, those were the type of guys that I dated. I dated men who did not see my value and worth, but then if you flip the script, I didn't see my value and worth. And so I became addicted to, you know, we talk about addiction, like people can be addicted to alcohol or drugs, but you can be addicted to, you know, just bad situations just the same way. You can be, you know, addicted to a dramatic cycle in your life. It feeds you, you know, and there were great qualities in there, but overall they were abusive. And I had to come to a point in my life, a very low point in my life, where I sat on my living room floor. I remember I was dating a young man, and he just didn't want to be with me. He was a cheater, lied, took my money, the whole thing, just everything that could go wrong. And I remember how depressed and suicidal I was. And I remember sitting there and just crying. I cried so much that there were puddles on my floor. We had wood floors, and till the floor started to change color. That's how much I was down.
I see you. You can see.
Yeah, you know, and going back to the word that was planted in my heart. You know, it says, train up a child in the way that they should go, right? And it will not depart. And so as I was sitting there, I just remember crying out to God, and the only thing I heard was to get up and take a shower. And some people would be like, well, because you know, you expect when God talks, like it's supposed to be deep and
thou shalt
you know, go to a scripture.
Moveth thee thou thyself. That's how God in my head.
But it was get up. I felt get up and go take a shower. And in just that simplicity of getting up and take a shower and standing in the bathroom and having water over my body, almost like a cleansing, I just started to think about my life. And I thought about the fact that we have to take responsibility for our healing. That my family's life is not my life. My life is my life. And what story am I gonna tell? Am I gonna tell this raggedy story that I didn't want to be a part of anymore, or I was going to tell the story that was in my heart from I was a child?
No, that's rich.
You know?
That's rich. That's rich. Let me say this. I'm a firm believer that in order to have a different future, you have to tell a different story.
Yes.
I'm a firm believer of that.
Yeah.
If you tell the same old tired story about yourself, you're going to end up with the same old tired future.
Totally.
And Dr. Gloria, I think what makes what Jozanne is saying so powerful to me is she invites us in to the pattern and to look at it from the inside looking out, right? The benefit of your training and your profession and your degree is that you can look at it from the outside looking deeply within. And explain to all of us watching, what happens in us through us that locks us into a pattern, into a cycle that we can't get out.
Yeah. We become accustomed to that. It becomes a habit. And so I believe that when people have suffered abuse, the habit is me seeing myself in a certain way. I'm not worthy. And if we were to say anything here, and I have to say this about her. Her name is Jozanne, but I have called her Jozanne because she's just awesome and incredible and a warrior and courageous, you know. But what has happened is we believe the lie, and then we become afraid to move out of that pattern because we don't know anything else. And we know what fear stands for, false evidence appearing real. So we begin to believe this stuff, and so we walk it out. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I believe that even though women and men have been damaged, they are not damaged goods, but they have to know it.
Yes.
And if you don't believe that, then you're going to attract people who will damage you because you don't see yourself in a positive light. You're still looking for love out there when the love isn't here. And I think that's what she's talking about.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer, Jozanne, that when you don't know who you are, everybody can tell. You ain't fooling nobody. That people can look at how you walk across the room and tell how you feel about yourself. And what's interesting about your story is that as you begin to, I'm assuming something, you tell me if I'm wrong, that as you begin to stand in the shower and stand in your life and wash off, you know, all of the parts about you that made you believe that their story had to be your story, did you start choosing better people because you felt better about yourself?
Definitely. You know, I feel like I never had the luxury to have a biological family, if I may say that. But one of the things that I realized is that relative doesn't mean family.
That's right.
Right? And a lot of times we, you know, it's unfortunate.
Say that again.
That a relative doesn't mean that it's family.
What's the difference?
Well, the difference is obviously the relative is biological, you know, whether it's a mom, dad, uncle, brother. Family is anyone who invests in you to become a better human being.
That's good. That's good.
That's awesome.
That's good. Make me throw my shoe at you now. 'Cause that's good. That's good. Anybody who invests in you to become a better human being has in that moment presented themselves as family.
That's family. Yeah.
Ooh.
That's deep.
That's good. You know what's odd about that? I'm going totally off subject now. I'm gonna get back. I promise I'll get back. Because what you just said makes me wonder if, just bear with me.
No.
If there really is such a thing as an enemy. In this sense, that sometimes your enemies have blessed you more than your friends have. Because they provoke you, they make you do things and become things that you never would have been without them.
Yes.
So even the people that get on your nerves, that tear you down, that don't believe you, right, that disrespect you, they ultimately can be, in some strange way, family.
Right.
Totally.
Family. You know, there's a line that says, Dr. Gloria, you need everybody you meet.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need them all.
I believe that.
You need, and I'm going to say this to you because one of the things I want you to do, Jozanne, and get yourself ready, because I know are you a poet?
I'm a poet.
I'm going to work you today.
Oh, man.
But as you prepare,
you can read an excerpt.
I'm about to say either that or just read something from the book.
Okay.
And then talk about the book.
Yes.
But I am a firm believer that a part of the victory that people experience in their lives has everything to do with the fact that somebody loved them, right? Somebody loved you.
Yes.
Right.
Somebody, somewhere. It may have been a stranger on the bus who smiled, right? It may have been a teacher. Before you take me into the poetry of the book, you gotta tell me who loved you.
Wow. I would say it started in high school. There's specific people that's, you know, throughout your journey that, well, for my journey, that stood out to me. My guidance counselor. She just saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And one of the things that I've learned is that God placed people in our lives. They're like precious jewels along the way. And we can choose to dwell on our circumstance, or we can choose to take it in. And I started to take everything in. So when she would speak to me and tell me, you know, like, you have a purpose or a future, or help me, because, you know, my last year of high school, I was homeless. So I was living in a car, a boyfriend's car, throughout my senior year, and was just determined to graduate. That was the goal. And for her to, you know, to know that I was in that situation and checking on me all the time. So that was one person. Or my professor at, you know, at my college, I went to John Jay College, Criminal Justice in New York.
I'm very familiar with it.
Oh, you are?
I'm from New York.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And, you know, he saw something in me, he saw a gift that I was an actor, and nurtured that. And just these things along the way helped me to really see myself.